Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 8 of albums that are 50 years old in 2023. That's right, we are going all the way back to 1973 for all those great classic albums that are turning 50 years old, celebrating their 50th anniversaries here this year in 2023. We've got 31 days in January. We're going to manage picking out our favorite 31 albums released from that year. Very, very tough assignment here. So many legendary classic albums came out in 1973, so it's going to be some that just won't make my top 31, but I love them just the same, so that's what we'll save those for the Honorable Mention show. But this one has to be on there. This one came out in July of 1973, recorded at Caribou Ranch in Netherlands and the Village Recorder in West Los Angeles for ABC Records, produced by Gary Katz. I'm talking about the second album from Steely Dan, Countdown to Ecstasy. Right, the legendary Steely Dan. I mean, can you really leave any of their albums off of a best of the year show or series, right? For any year that they had an album that came out, it's just impossible. So many classic albums from this band, whatever you want to call them, pop, jazz, rock, jazz, whatever you want to call Steely Dan, right? Funk, soul, they do a little bit of everything. Amazing instrumentation, amazing vocals, quirky melodies, interesting lyrics, right? Donald Fagen, keyboards, lead and backing vocals, Walter Becker, bass, backing vocals, Denny Diaz on this album, electric guitar, Jeff Skunk Baxter, electric and pedal steel guitars, and Jim Hodder on drums and percussion backing vocals. You got all sorts of additional musicians who appear on these albums. I could sit and list them all. Rick Derringer shows up here, Ray Brown, Ben Benet, Victor Feldman, Ernie Watts, Lenny Morgan, Johnny Rotella, Bill Perkins, all sorts of backing vocals and whatnot. I mean, this was just a really, really strong album. Made number 35. Again, Steely Dan's kind of bigger selling days will probably come on subsequent albums. But this, in 1973, this hit number 35 on the pop album charts. Okay. My Old School, Showbiz Kids were the two singles from the album. Both did pretty well for themselves. I mean, you got some great tracks on here, right? The upbeat Bodhisattva, right? You got Razor Boy. You got The Boston Rag. Oh, what a great song that is. Your Gold Teeth, another good one. Showbiz Kids. Excellent, excellent song. My Old School. Love the guitar work in that. Pearl of the Quarter. King of the World. King of the World. Such a sing-along. Great, great track. I mean, it's just one home run after another on this album and all these old Steely Dan albums. I've said this before, but Steely Dan are like one of those bands that throughout while I was growing up, always knew about, always liked the radio tracks, but one of those bands that I just never bought any of their albums because they were, to me, growing up as a young hard rock and metal kid, and even into my 20s and 30s, I was always kind of like, Steely Dan, that's kind of cool, radio, kind of pop, classic rock, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know if I need to own any of their albums because it just, they to me always seemed like one of those bands that just the hits are okay and everything else you don't really need. And then I remember once, I guess it was in the 90s, I bought a 2-disc Steely Dan kind of retrospective, a hits collection. And the more I listened to it, the more I loved all the hits even more, just having them all in one collection. And then, I don't remember what it was, something prompted me to go listen to a couple of, or maybe I was over at a friend's house or something like that, and they put on one of the actual studio albums. And I was like, oh, that song's not on my hits collection, nor is that one. And those rule. And then I was like, you know what the fuck am I doing here? Let me just go and buy their studio albums because there's not that many of them. And then a world of riches just opened up to me, right? So, and then I have been an enormous Steely Dan fan since then, and I've just realized how much more than just a simple hits pop band they were and are. And there's all these great songs, all this great musicianship, and all these amazing players in the band. But, back to this album, I mean, you've got the mandatory tracks on here, which are, Bodhisattva, The Boston Rag, My Old School, and King of the World. But, man, Showbiz Kids is so good. Razor Boy, Pearl of the Quarter, I mean, Your Gold Teeth. These are really, really strong, deep tracks. Again, pop, rock, funk, soul, right? All this stuff just kind of percolating together to come up with, in jazz, right? Percolating together to come up with this really interesting palette of sounds from this band that are probably one of the most unique bands of all time, in my opinion. Those very unmistakable vocals, right? the silky and quite stinging at times guitar lines, the horns and the reeds and the interesting, complicated rhythms and stuff. Just a great band and a great album. So yeah, Countdown to Ecstasy, the second album from Steely Dan. My number 8, not my number 8, day 8, right? Because remember, I'm not ranking these, right? To just each day you're going to get another one. There's no order of anything. There's no order of preference here. But day 8 is Steely Dan Countdown to Ecstasy. Let us know what you think of this great album in the comments below, as well as your pick for day 8. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 9. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave, very, very important. And also down below in the video description, you got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as a link to our merch page. I'm getting really good at saying all this stuff. I learned something from my partner in crime over at the Comic Book Geezers channel, Wild Bill. He does this whole spiel at the end of every episode we do over there, and I've learned a lot from him on how to just kind of have it ingrained in your head and just fire it out like you don't even have to think about it. So at the end of every episode, it's just like, here you go, right? So thanks for watching, everybody. See you tomorrow morning with another album that turns 50 years old here in 2023. Till then, have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.